From Florida to Nebraska, from Idaho to Montana, and other red states in between, Trump voters are in the find out stage. Many who are farmers or involved in agriculture or construction or other industries that depend on undocumented labor, or others who rely on government-related benefits, they're all saying, Donald, you are going to screw us. And for some of these individuals, I was able to dig up some footage on them from Trump administration number 1, where they were complaining about Trump policies, yet they voted for him again in 2024. And now that he's on the eve of putting in place these executive orders that can totally screw over their businesses, they're like, can you not do that, but maybe do this one? Let me explain. There's this article. First, I'll share with you from Bloomberg. Here's a guy. His name is Tony DeMari. He's from Florida. He's a tomato grower over there. And he said he voted for Trump. He says he loves Trump's idea of slapping tariffs on Mexican farmers who undercut him by paying workers a fraction of what he does. And he wants to stop illegal border crossings and likes the idea of deporting migrants convicted of serious crimes. But when it comes to Trump's broader promise to expel all 11 million undocumented people living in the country, DeMari thinks it would be a disaster for American farmers. Can we pause there for a second? DeMari, listen, nobody wants convicted felons and criminals and terrorists here. How do you fall for that red herring? It's not like President Biden and Democrats are like, let's get the terrorists here. That's just total and utter BS. President Biden put in place exactly what you are asking for, DeMari, a comprehensive immigration bill that would have had the strongest borders, invest millions in Border Patrol officers, but would have also recognized exactly what you want here, which is some form of recognition and pathway toward citizenship for the hard-working migrants who are here, who are contributing to the economy, not the criminals. But you know who killed that bill, DeMari? It was Donald Trump who killed it. Here's what DeMari says. He goes, quote, "We have to secure our borders south and north. Duh, we're all good. We're good with that. But you have to have a workforce in this country. Duh, it sounds like you're talking about what? Comprehensive immigration reform? But I thought that's socialism or too woke. Isn't that what y'all were saying during the campaign?" DeMari, whose family has 4,000 acres of tomato farms in Florida and California, goes on to say, quote, "There's no doubt that this is going to restrict and put pressure on farming and many other industries that rely on this workforce." But DeMari, I have to say this. So you're okay with certain tariffs on Mexico, targeted tariffs there, but you realize what Trump's asking for is across the board tariffs. And so if you tariff Mexico on that, don't you realize that Mexico is just going to retaliate against people who you're probably friends with as well? Automobile industries and plastics and, just other things. If you tariff Canada, don't you think they're going to retaliate? What about your fellow farmer brothers and sisters who export stuff to China and other countries or Europe that Donald Trump's threatening as well? If they impose retaliatory tariffs, wouldn't it make them suffer? I mean, can't we think comprehensively right here? The article goes on to talk about how U.S. farms run on an army of more than 850,000 crop workers, almost half of whom the Department of Agriculture estimates are undocumented. Some 160,000 of them move with the seasons, harvesting vegetables during Florida's winter before moving north to pick crops such as snap beans in North Carolina or blueberries in New Jersey. This complex system that sustains America's relatively cheap food supply is now at risk as Trump promises the biggest deportations in U.S. history, surpassing the notorious 1954 operation that forced 1.1 million people to return to Mexico. A nationwide crackdown could drive labor costs higher for farmers already struggling to compete against cheap imports and reignite the kind of inflation that tanked Joe Biden's presidency. You know where the inflation came from that President Biden reduced through the Inflation Reduction Act? Donald Trump, the fact that Trump added $8 trillion of debt. And by the way, I'm saying, well, Ben, that's what you're just saying. Go and look at the Republican debates. What did Nikki Haley say? What did Ron DeSantis say, Damari? Your governor in Florida said Trump adding $8 trillion to our debt is what precipitated, is what caused the inflation. Nikki Haley agreed with that as well. And the reckless printing of money. What do you think happens when Biden takes over in 2021? Don't you realize that's the fallout from Donald Trump? Then Biden's got to fix it. So he fixes it. It goes lower. And now Trump wants to do this right here. Your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. I get so many emails from the Meidas Mighty saying how great Miracle Made sheets are and how it's changed their lives for the better. Here's why. It uses silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA. So therefore, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter the weather, so you get better sleep every night. Now, these sheets are also infused with silver, as I said, and that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets, so no more gross odors. Also, Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without that high price tag of other luxury brands, and it feels as nice to me, if not nicer, than the sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So, upgrade your sleep this year. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/MEIDAS to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Meidas at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Meidas to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And by the way, as I said, you go from Florida. How about we go to Nebraska and see what's going on there? Where in Nebraska, you have people who are terrified as well. And they're saying, look, you're going to cause us a huge, huge problem here. Here's what they're saying over there in Nebraska. Here's the article. Let's pull it up. Immigrants drive Nebraska's economy. Trump's mass deportation pledge is a threat. It goes, every so often, Al Junkie, executive director of the Nebraska pork producers, says he'll get a phone call from one of his farmers about how to solve Nebraska's severe labor shortage. It goes something like this. Al, I got a giant idea. I got a great idea. Why don't we invite any immigrants, legal, illegal, I don't care, invite them to Nebraska because we have lots of openings out on our farms and we need help. Junkie smiles warily as he tells the story. Nebraska is one of the top meat producers in the U.S. and also has one of the worst labor shortages in the country. For every 100 jobs, there are only 39 workers, according to the U.S. Chamber of Congress. Last January, the state's economic chamber released a report saying Nebraska had no choice but to welcome immigrants to address the workforce gap. Nebraska might need immigrants, but it also voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, who's threatened to carry out mass deportations of people living in the U.S. illegally. Junkie says attracting workers to Nebraska is not about wages. The average pay for a meat trimmer is close to $18 an hour, well above the state minimum of $13.50. These are good paying jobs and plants. People say, well, just double or triple the pay and you'll get United States citizens to work. No, you won't. United States citizens are not working on those jobs. They're not picking the crops. They're not working some of those jobs in construction that you see. They're not working in the landscaping jobs. Even if you open it up, the Americans are not taking those jobs. That is a major problem here. And, when you think about what was going on in Springfield, Ohio as well, that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance demonize, the Haitians are eating your dogs and cats. the Haitian community there revitalized the town of Springfield because they took the jobs that the Americans refused to take. They were working super hard in the factories and even in Springfield, Ohio. As we go to this various red states that are in the find out stage, now you have the Haitian community there like, should we go in hiding? Clearly they're going to target Springfield, Ohio. And then the factory bosses, the Americans who were there, who employed the Haitians who were there on legal status, they voted for Trump. Damari voted for Trump. These Nebraska people voted for Trump. And then afterwards, they're like, well, we actually, let's be real here. We need this labor and you're going to, deport it. You're going to go after our jobs. We support some of your rhetoric, but when it comes to our businesses, you're going to kill and destroy our businesses. I want to just show you this too, because this baffles me. I just went back through the archives. I looked up about, Damari, and I saw there was this, he was interviewed on CBS back in 2020, in April 2020, where he was talking about how there was so much supply of tomatoes that he had and he couldn't find a market for it. That was during the kind of the heart of COVID. And so it's like, Damari, what are you doing? You realize this guy is going to do this. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Just watch this clip from CBS and you can see it for yourself. Let's play it.
Damari has 5 packing companies around the country. He had to close his Homestead Center a month early, leaving nearly 10 million pounds of tomatoes to go unharvested.
The clock is ticking, and every day that goes by is another box of tomatoes left in the field to rot.
Yeah, and while all of that is happening as well, you then also have all of these red states where way more people in the red states are on food stamps, government assistance. Their health insurance is entirely tied to the Affordable Care Act. And they're voting against their own interests, right? At the same time, President Biden on Friday, as his kind of parting gift, talked about lowering more prescription drug prices for Medicare. You've got Donald Trump doing all of this. So look, I don't take pleasure in the find out stage. I don't like Americans suffering. I don't want these businesses to get hit hard. I want people to prosper. I want Damari to do well. I want these people to do well. Even if they voted for someone who I don't want them to vote for, I don't wish ill will on Americans at all. It's just, we're in the find out stage. Anyway, hit subscribe. Help us get to 4 million subscribers. We appreciate you.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 500,000 followers.